You give. You show up. You support others, your friends, your family, your clients. You're generous with your time, your energy, even your heart. So, why does abundance still feel just out of reach? Why do you work so hard to uplift others, only to feel drained, stuck, or quietly resentful when nothing flows back to you? This is something a lot of spiritual, heart-centered people quietly struggle with, especially the ones who care deeply and want to live in alignment. The truth is, many of us feel safer giving than receiving. Giving feels noble, giving feels powerful, giving feels like love. But receiving? That can feel vulnerable, exposed, even selfish. Without even realizing it, you might have started to believe that being supported, being seen, being paid, or simply being helped is somehow wrong, or that you have to earn it first. And that tiny subconscious belief can quietly block everything you're asking the universe for. But here's what I want you to know. True abundance doesn't come from how much you give. It comes from how open you are to receive in return. In this video, we're going to explore the hidden guilt that might be sabotaging your flow and how to finally clear it so you can let abundance in with ease. If you're into these kinds of soulful insights, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to keep this energy flowing. Let's get right in. To begin, let's talk about something most people never really examine, especially those who are kind, compassionate, and deeply spiritual. Why does receiving feel so uncomfortable? You might not say it out loud, but think about how you feel when someone offers you help, compliments your work, or tries to pay you generously for something you'd naturally give away for free. Do you feel awkward? Do you brush it off? Do you say, "Oh, you don't have to," or "That's too much," or "I'm just happy to help"? That's not humility. That's a subconscious block. You see, most of us grew up learning how to give. We were praised for being kind, generous, responsible, selfless. Giving was safe. Giving made us lovable. But few of us were taught how to receive, openly, confidently, without guilt. Because for many of us, receiving felt risky. It meant attention. It meant someone else giving to you without you doing anything to earn it. And for some, that stirred up all kinds of discomfort. Let's go deeper. When you receive, you're letting someone see you, really see you. You're allowing yourself to be the focus, the one being nurtured, acknowledged, honored. For people who are used to holding space for others, that shift in attention can feel overwhelming, even dangerous. It threatens the identity of the giver, the strong one, the helper. It's vulnerable, and many people mistake that vulnerability for weakness. But it's not weakness, it's receptivity. And receptivity is a strength that has been buried under layers of conditioning. Here's what often plays in the background of someone who struggles to receive. If I receive, I'm taking from someone else. This belief is rooted in scarcity, the idea that there's not enough to go around, and by saying yes to help, you're depriving someone else. If I get paid for helping, it's not spiritual or pure. Many heart-centered people equate money with ego and service with sacrifice. So when they try to mix the two, help and earn, it creates an internal conflict. And guilt fills the gap. If I need support, it means I've failed. This one runs deep. In cultures that glorify independence, needing help is seen as weakness. So we push ourselves to keep giving, even when we're empty. These beliefs don't live in your conscious mind. They're stored deep in the nervous system, shaped by early experiences. So much of our adult wiring comes from childhood, and when it comes to receiving, that wiring can be deeply flawed. Maybe you only got love when you performed. Maybe affection was conditional, given when you were helpful, quiet, polite. Maybe you watched your caregivers give and give, never asking for anything in return. Maybe you were even told that wanting too much was selfish or greedy. These moments stick. They plant a seed that says, "To be loved, I must give. To be safe, I must not need." As a child, this belief helped you survive. But as an adult, it limits your expansion. You may be trying to attract abundance, but if deep down you believe that receiving it makes you less spiritual, less lovable, or less safe, then you'll find subtle ways to block it. Every single time. Here's the truth. You are not meant to give endlessly without return. In fact, the natural world, the universe itself, operates in cycles of give and receive. The ocean gives waves and receives the pull of the moon. The trees give oxygen and receive carbon dioxide. Your breath is a sacred exchange. Inhale, exhale, give, receive. When we cut off the receiving side of that flow, we create imbalance. We become drained, bitter, even resentful, not because we're not good enough, but because we've blocked the return. And that block is often built from guilt. But here's something to reflect on. What if receiving doesn't take away from others? It inspires them. What if you being supported teaches others that it's safe to be supported? The more you allow yourself to receive with grace, the more permission you give others to do the same. That's not selfish. That's leadership. That's healing. Now, if this is resonating with you, I want to tell you something important. You are not broken, and neither are you unspiritual for wanting to receive. You have simply been running an old program, one that probably kept you safe at one point, but no longer serves you. And here is the good news. That program can be rewritten. But first, you have to see it. You have to recognize the subtle ways guilt shows up and shuts down your flow. This is the real work, not just saying affirmations or performing certain rituals, although those can help, but diving into the emotional roots of your resistance. But first, take a breath. Place your hand over your heart and ask yourself, what do I really believe about receiving? Where did that belief come from? What emotion comes up when someone gives to me freely? When was the last time I allowed myself to receive without guilt, explanation, or apology? The answers might surprise you, and they might free you, because when you begin to understand that receiving is not about taking, but about allowing, everything changes. You stop seeing support as weakness. You stop seeing money as something shameful. You stop thinking you have to prove your worth by giving until you're empty. Now, let's talk about guilt, that quiet, sticky emotion that hides behind good intentions and noble service. Guilt is tricky. It doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers things like, "You shouldn't charge that much." Do you really deserve that attention? Isn't it selfish to focus on your own success while others struggle? And if you're a healer, empath, guide, artist, someone whose gifts are deeply tied to your soul, guilt can show up every time someone tries to give you something in return. Money, praise, support, rest, recognition. All of it can trigger a hidden guilt reflex. And before you even realize what's happening, you shut the channel. You say, "No, thank you," with a smile. You undercharge, overdeliver, or reject help. You stay in the background, hoping people will just see your worth without having to ask for anything. But here's the cost. Guilt blocks the circuit. And when the circuit is blocked, the universe can't flow abundance to you, no matter how hard you work or how much you give. There's a story that many of us were told, often with the best of intentions, that true love, true help, true healing should be selfless, that the purer your motives, the less you should want anything in return. And while that sounds poetic, it's also a lie, because everything in nature exists in balance. You wouldn't expect a plant to give fruit forever without water. You wouldn't ask the sun to shine endlessly without ever setting. So why do we ask that of ourselves? Why do we expect to pour out our energy, time, talent, and heart, and feel bad when something comes back? Here's the truth most heart-led people need to hear. You can help and be helped. You can give and receive. You can serve and thrive. There is no spiritual prize for being empty and overworked. There's no medal for being the most exhausted healer in the room. You deserve to be supported in your giving, not just after you've collapsed from burnout. So many of us think guilt keeps us humble, that it protects us from becoming greedy or disconnected. But guilt doesn't keep you grounded. It keeps you small. It doesn't protect your purity. It undermines your power. Think of guilt like a wall. It starts as a boundary to keep your intentions clean, but it quickly becomes a fortress, one that locks abundance out. Clients sense it. Opportunities avoid it. The universe honors your vibration. If guilt is what you're carrying, guilt is what gets reflected. And here's what makes it even more painful. Because you're a giver, you'll assume you're not doing enough. So you give more and receive even less. It becomes a cycle, and that cycle becomes your reality. But the cycle isn't truth. It's a program, and you can rewrite it. Imagine your energy like a circle, a full loop. You give on one side, you receive on the other. Now imagine guilt sitting like a boulder on the receiving side. It doesn't matter how much love or light you pour out, the energy has nowhere to go. It can't complete the loop. But when you release guilt, not with force, but with compassion, the boulder lifts. Suddenly, the circuit completes. The universe begins returning what you've sent out, multiplied, and it doesn't come back just as money. It comes as synchronicity, ease, nourishment, clients who say yes, friends who show up, rest that actually replenishes you. That's not luck. That's energetic alignment. One of the deepest roots of guilt is the belief, I haven't earned this. But your worth isn't something you earn. It's something you remember. You're not worthy because you've suffered enough. You're not worthy because you've helped enough people. You're not worthy because you've reached some moral threshold of goodness. You're worthy because you exist. And existence itself is proof that you're meant to receive as much as you give. Let that land. You don't have to pay for your blessings with overwork, undercharging, or silent suffering. That's martyrdom, not spirituality. And martyrdom is not a vibration that abundance can flow through. So how do you release guilt? You notice it. You thank it for trying to keep you good. Then you choose a new belief. You say, helping others does not require me to suffer. I can be spiritual and successful. It is safe to receive. It is safe to be seen. It is safe to thrive. And the more you say it, the more you embody it, the more the wall of guilt starts to dissolve. Let's take a little dive into the sacred balance of giving and receiving, and how aligning with that rhythm can shift your entire life. Because it's not about fixing yourself. It's about stepping back into harmony with the universe. When you breathe, you inhale and exhale. When your heart beats, it expands and contracts. When the ocean moves, it rises in tides and falls back again. Nature doesn't just give, it receives. That's the rhythm of life, the sacred pulse of creation. We often speak about being in flow with money, love, opportunities, joy. But flow isn't a one-way current. Flow means there's movement in both directions. When you only give and never receive, you're not in flow. You're in depletion. It might look noble on the outside. You're the strong one, the generous one, the dependable one. But over time, that imbalance starts to distort the energy. Giving without receiving is not generosity. It's leakage. It drains your light. It blurs your boundaries. And ironically, it limits how much impact you can actually have. True abundance, in all its forms, comes through alignment, not sacrifice. That's why receiving is not selfish. It's sacred. When you allow yourself to receive, openly, joyfully, without guilt, you're not stealing from the universe. You're participating in it. You're acknowledging that you're part of the whole, not separate from it. This is where many spiritual people get confused. They think money is dirty. They think asking for compensation or recognition somehow pollutes their purpose. But money isn't evil. It's not even emotional. It's neutral energy, a symbol of value exchanged. You give your time, your care, your essence. Money is one way that value returns. If someone offers you gratitude, you wouldn't reject it. If someone thanks you with tears in their eyes, you wouldn't say, "No, I can't accept that." So why reject money, another form of appreciation? The issue isn't the currency. The issue is what we project onto it. We've been taught to associate money with greed, corruption, domination, but that's not the money. That's the misuse of energy. In your hands, money becomes something else. It becomes an extension of your love, your purpose, your intention. When you embrace that, you stop blocking the flow. Energy exchange is not a transaction, it's a relationship. And like any healthy relationship, it needs to be mutual, nourishing, respectful. Receiving doesn't just replenish your energy, it also affirms your place in the ecosystem. It says, "I am a vital part of this world. I am not here to give endlessly while starving my own soul." Imagine if a flower refused sunlight because it thought growing was selfish. Imagine if a river refused to accept the rain because it hadn't earned the water. That's what happens when we reject receiving. We interrupt the natural cycle. We isolate ourselves from the very source we're trying to serve. But when we return to balance, when we breathe in as deeply as we breathe out, everything changes. Support starts showing up. Opportunities align. Your body relaxes. Your nervous system stops bracing for burnout. You feel nourished, not just needed. This is the heartbeat of true abundance, not just hustling harder, not just giving more, but receiving fully, gratefully, as part of the sacred dance you were always meant to move with. This sacred dance of giving and receiving begins with a shift in how you see yourself and your worth. It's easy to get caught up in measuring your value by what you do, how much you give, or how many people you help. But your worth isn't a scoreboard. It isn't about proof or performance. Your worth is inherent. It simply is. You exist, and that alone makes you worthy of receiving abundance in every form. So often, we block abundance because we carry the false belief that we must earn it, prove ourselves, or deserve it through struggle. This mindset traps you in scarcity, where receiving feels like a favor or a gift that must be paid back with more giving. It creates invisible barriers, walls built from fear, doubt, and unworthiness that stop the natural flow of abundance before it even begins. Opening to receive starts with a simple yet powerful invitation to your soul. You are enough. You are worthy just as you are. It's a deep, unconditional acceptance that doesn't depend on your achievements or how much you do for others. This truth breaks down the mental blocks and emotional walls that guilt and self-judgment build. Take a moment to reflect. Where in your life do you close yourself off from receiving? Is it help from friends or family? Compliments on your work or talents? Financial support for the gifts you share? Or maybe love and appreciation from those closest to you? Notice if any feelings arise: discomfort, hesitation, fear. That's signal resistance. These are clues showing where your blocks live. And just noticing them gently, without judgment, begins the healing process. To help you shift these patterns, try this mantra or phrase. It is safe to receive. I am open to return. Say it quietly to yourself or write it down. Repeat it when you feel stuck or undeserving. Let it sink into your body and mind. Over time, it rewires the nervous system and opens your energetic channels. Remember, receiving isn't about being passive or waiting for abundance to come to you. It's about actively participating in the flow. It's about recognizing that when you receive, you fuel your ability to give more deeply and sustainably. You're not just a giver or a receiver. You are both, always. The universe designed you this way, to move with the rhythms of balance, to breathe in as fully as you breathe out. By embracing your worth and opening yourself to receive, you create space for miracles, growth, and deeper connection. You allow the universe to show up for you just as you show up for it. Again, this isn't selfishness. This is sacred alignment. You are worthy because you exist. You are deserving because you are you. And abundance flows most freely when you receive with grace and gratitude. Receiving is not a weakness or a burden. It's a sacred part of the cycle of life. Just as the ocean pulls back to make space for new tides, you too must allow the flow to come back to you. When you accept support, love, money, or praise, you honor the energetic dance that keeps everything alive and thriving. Your gifts are divine, yes, but so is your ability to be supported in giving them. This balance is not only necessary, it's holy. So, release the guilt that tells you receiving is selfish or undeserved. Let it fall away like old leaves, making room for fresh energy. Embrace the knowing that you are worthy simply because you exist, not because of what you do or don't do. Open your heart to the universe's generosity as freely as you offer your own. When you do this, you're not just allowing abundance in, you're becoming a channel for it to flow through, making your impact even greater and your joy even deeper. Remember, the flow of giving and receiving is one continuous, beautiful rhythm. Step into it fully. Receive with grace. You are worthy, you are enough, and the universe is ready to support you.